I hope you're having a wonderful day. Okay. There's a whole bunch of bikes behind me. I don't know where they came from. What's going on, folks? If you're not from Arizona, welcome to Arizona. Today we're going to be talking about 4 things that I wish I knew when I first started learning. Not just like operating the bike. Like, you can find all kinds of content out there for like how to ride a bike, what the clutch does, how to shift gears, that kind of stuff. We're going to just be talking about like the realities of riding, the things that you can't teach, the things that you can only learn with first-hand experience, like on the road. And maybe you've heard it before, maybe some people have talked to you about this, but I wanted to clarify that you don't get this kind of information, this first-hand knowledge, you don't get the understanding of this unless you go out there and do it. So before you start riding, or if you have started riding, before you get too far into that, this video is for you. If you're already past this point and you're riding, maybe you're already been riding a couple years and you've already experienced all this, maybe stick around. If you feel different about anything, let me know. But I'm gonna go over 4 things that I wish somebody had taught or had told me about before I started riding and had to figure it out for myself. Tip number 1 is going to be, it's okay to make mistakes. And maybe you've heard this before, maybe you've heard this all your life. But more specifically, let's say you're at a stoplight coming up here, and maybe this is your first time out on the road on a bike. You got that inexplainable feeling of like freedom and terror and anxiety because it's just you on the bike. You're not watching a video of someone else riding it. You're the one actually on the bike, and that feeling is indescribable. And let's say you got that, you're coming up to a stoplight for the first time, you're gonna come up, you put your feet down, and right out of the gate, maybe there's a car in front of you, right? And they take off kind of quick, and you're not really paying attention because you've seen them take off, you kind of want to go the same speed as them, and you stall your bike. Okay, well, you just stalled, so naturally your anxiety is gonna go through the roof, you're embarrassed, your blood pressure goes up, you're kind of freaking out a little bit, you don't want the guy behind you to honk at you, you don't want to inconvenience anybody. You're gonna start the bike back up again, and you're gonna try it again. Let's say you stall again. Okay, now you're really freaked out. You're embarrassed because you stalled twice. You're just gonna start it back up and just gun it. You're gonna give it a lot of gas because you don't want to stall again. Give it a lot of gas and you wheelie the bike, or you backflip it, or maybe it just takes off too fast. You dump the clutch a little too fast. The bike takes off faster than you want it to, and it's a scary feeling, especially when you're first started riding. Like that's one scenario where it's okay to mess up. If let's say you stall that first time, you're learning. It's not about getting from point A to point B quickly. It's not even about getting there smoothly. Like if you stall a couple times, that's fine. You're learning from it. But when let's say you stall that first time and you feel your blood pressure going up, just stop. Take a deep breath. Like just sit back, focus on what you're doing. If you've already had the training, you're on the road for the first time. Someone's already told you how to ride the bike. Just fall back to that. Casual on that throttle, casual on that clutch, go slow, just get going again. It's not about trying to redeem yourself. It's not trying to just get out of there as quick as possible because you're embarrassed. Just take it and run with it. Let it go. It's about getting from point A to point B, period. You know, you're not trying to get there as fast as possible. You're trying to just get there, and that's what really matters. And there's a lot of different ways I can put that into analogies, but that's the first one that I see a lot of people doing, is coming up to their first stoplight is kind of jarring, and they stall it for the first time, and they gotta like, they get embarrassed and they start messing up a lot more. Which brings me to step 2. Step 2 for me, for my learning style, was practice your mistakes, and more specifically, practice for the worst case scenario. Why is everyone so far behind me? Yeah, so practice your mistakes. That's step 2. And this can look like anything. Whether, like for me, for example, every bike I buy, the first thing I'm going to do on this bike is take it off-road. And the reason why is because I don't know how that bike, firsthand, is going to feel like in a low traction scenario. I'll take it out there, I'll play with the back brake a little bit, maybe slide the back wheel out just a little bit. As long as I can get the feeling of what this bike feels like in low traction and how to adjust for it, and that way if it ever happens accidentally, I've done it before. I know how to react to it, and that's how I was able to stay safe in the numerous times where I was cut off by somebody not looking at me, or an animal ran out in front, or anything like that. I'll go out and practice these scenarios, because we're in Arizona. We got animals running across the road all the time. I'll have a scenario where I'm driving, an animal's crossing the road, I'll go on the brakes and I'll swerve a little bit. And you don't have to like take time out of your day to go do that. If you're a busy person, if you're just riding to work and back because you're busy, you don't have time to go out and do and practice these stuff. That's one thing you can do every day, is pick a point in the road, whether it's a tar snake, a pebble, something that's not a hazard if you actually do hit it, and just imagine that it's coming at you, and you want to try to dodge it at the last second. So for me, like right now, I'm gonna imagine this silver gray thing, and I wait and I dodge it. And what that does internally is it creates muscle memory. It allows you to know what it's like to swerve in an emergency situation, so that if you're ever in a spot where you need to swerve, you need to emergency brake, you need to, something comes out that was unexpected and you're not ready for it, you have the muscle memory, that flinch reaction of getting out of the way, of keeping your bike up without having that oh shit moment and focusing on the object that you're going to hit, or a car blows a tire or anything like that. All these scenarios can happen at any point in time. I could turn this corner up here, there could be a rock on the road. I'm analyzing that, I'm preparing for it. I've done the scenario practice where I can be in a turn and dodge something. So this is probably as loud as my helmet's gonna get, so if the audio picks up here, then we're good. And that's step 2, is practice for the worst. Practice your mistakes. You'll be able to be like, okay, so I've done this before. You're not thinking this, but internally you've reacted to it before, so you know how to react to it again. And that's what got me through a lot of dangerous situations, is that I've had prior practice imagining the situation happening to me, how my bike would react to it. So let me backtrace just a little bit. That concrete parking lot I may have mentioned before, where that car was coming at me and I was on a concrete parking lot that was more slippery than asphalt, and a tap on my back brake and my back end was sliding out. I wasn't thinking about my bike sliding, I was thinking about dodging that car still. So my body reacted to my bike sliding and adjusted, kept the bike up and kept going, and I didn't hit the car, and that was a good day. But it just goes to show that I took my bike off-road for that first time. That was my training, was off-road low traction scenarios. I went out there, practiced tapping that rear brake, sliding the bike out, knowing what that bike feels like. And then it happened in real life, and I was thankful that I did that, because it wasn't a surprise. I didn't be like, oh my god, I'm sliding, and then dump the bike because I freak out. Yeah, so that was step 2. Or tip 3 and tip 4 are life skills that you can take with you to do anything. Not just motorcycling or driving or hypersports or anything. Take it to work with you. If you're a manager and you write schedules for people and people report to you, you can take it to there. But tip 3 is watch your ego. Ego's a big one. Whether or not you are a very level-headed person, riding a motorcycle for the first time and learning how to ride motorcycles, it's exhilarating, it's fun, it's exciting, and that can be dangerous, even for the most level-headed person. You start by riding and you think, okay, I'm a new rider, I may mess up, okay, and you accept that, so you start riding, you start learning, but then you start getting from point A to point B more efficiently. You start getting there more predictably, more reliably, consistently. Naturally, your ego's going to go up. You're going to start thinking, you're going to have that I got this complex. What, minuscule or not, you're going to feel like, oh, I can do that. And then most of the times, I've seen it happen in person countless times, where a new rider's learning, and then a week later they're like, well, I haven't wrecked, and they have that, this I got this complex, ever so slightly, if that, but they start taking corners faster, they start, not thinking as much, and that can lead to zoning out while you're on the road. That can lead to the I got this complex, where you're not as attentive to the road, and that can be dangerous, like especially with what we're doing now, like riding. I'm following my mom up the mountain right now, and I'm just talking, I'm not exactly zoned out, I'm paying attention. It's very windy, and we're on the side of a cliff. So this is naturally one of those points where I'm not going to want to go super fast, because I'm talking, and that in and of itself will distract me just a little bit from road hazards from corners, from stuff like that. And since I'm still alert, but because I'm talking about something else other than what's actually going on, and I'm not hyper focused, I'm not going to be going too fast. I've had people in the past where they go into work and they're just zoned out. They're thinking about work, they're thinking about whatever else, thinking about home life, thinking about bills, and they come across like a gravel patch that they weren't looking at. Again, it's that lack of trying to stay attentive, especially when you're first starting riding or continuing your training. As you learn, you want to stay as attentive as possible when you're riding, because animals can run out, there'll be rocks in the road, potholes, a car not seeing you, because that happens a lot. All these different scenarios, if you're not prepared for them and you're not looking out for them, that ego, ever so slightly, will tune you out to the I'm going to get there no matter what. That doesn't happen to me. I don't wreck. Or that doesn't apply to just motorcycles. That can be anything. Your entire life can go off that. Just watch your ego, down to the minuscule, like, don't just zone out and let things happen. Take control of it. And that's a perfect segue to tip number 4. Only control what you can control. And honestly, it took me a second to be able to like apply that to motorcycles, because that's a good life skill to have for everything. Only control what you can control. But the way that I've applied that to motorcycles is, what can you control on a motorcycle? Well, the answer is simple. I'm sitting on a motorcycle. These handlebars and this bike are the only things that I'm in control of. It's very windy today. I'm not in control of that. So now I've got to adjust what I'm doing to match the wind. You can't control other cars. You can't control other riders. My mom's riding a little bit faster than me right now. I'm going to take it slow. I'm talking about something other than the road right now. So I'm not going to go as fast because I'm not hyper focused on the road. I'm talking about life skills. Only control what you can control. I'm not going to control her. I'm not going to say, hey, slow down. You know, if a car cuts me off, I'm not going to say, hey man, you cut me off. Because what is that going to do? Is he going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I'll look out for motorcycles now and I'm never going to do that again? No. If you pull somebody over and you go, hey man, you cut me off earlier, they're going to be like, hey man, F you, get out of here, get away from my car. And you're just going to escalate a situation that you could have just moved on from. If you can't control it, don't waste your time on it. Focus on it, prepare for it, but don't let it consume you. Like, you see a bad driver, you see somebody texting on their phone next to you, just let it go. Go away. Go somewhere else. Don't let them be your problem. I would love to see less people texting and driving, but I'm not gonna, you know, force people to do that. I'm not gonna control them to stop texting and driving. I would love to educate them with whatever internet platform they may be using, and I see a lot of that already. But if I see somebody texting and driving, I'm not gonna stop and be like, hey man, put your phone down, or I'm not gonna go punch somebody's mirror out, because that only makes things worse. If that person had a knee-jerk reaction and like tilted their steering wheel a little bit, and that 2-ton killing machine that they're in, your bike's not going to compete with that. You're going down. They're gonna bump you. You're gonna go down, and chances are they're gonna be like, oh crap, I did that, I'm not gonna stop for that. So they're gonna take off. And if they stop, you were the one antagonizing. Whether they hit you or not, you were riding too close to them. You were antagonizing. It's not going to be a good day for anybody. And if you can't control it, again, just let it go. Move on. Don't let it bother you. Someone cuts you off. Someone cuts somebody else off. You see all this stuff happening on the road. You're on a motorcycle. That's all you're controlling. Your life, safety of you, and safety of people directly around you. Just stay safe. Tip number 3 and tip number 4 apply to everything, not just motorcycles, but life. And that's honestly how I've been so laid back. I used to care a lot about what people thought about me. I don't know, I've kind of taken to heart tip number 4, just only control what I can control. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I'm gonna wrap up real quick. I'm gonna go over those points one more time. All right, I don't know if you can see it from here, but the mountain straight ahead, that's the mountain I just rode up before the camera died. And yeah, the camera died. So yes, tip number 1, very simply put, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to mess up. Just have a plan for when you do mess up, so that if you stall at a red light, for example, it's easy to just take a breath, take a step back. Everybody does it. And I didn't even realize it until we got back from that ride that my mom stalled, and that's why she was behind me so far. And experienced riders do it. If you're on a new bike that you're not familiar with, it's not uncommon. So if you saw at a red light, just don't be embarrassed. Just start it back up and remember what your training had told you. Or ease on the throttle, ease off the clutch, just back to basics. And don't let the people behind you frustrate you. It's just getting from point A to point B. Tip number 2, practice your mistakes. Practice for the worst case scenario, because you never know what kind of scenario you're going to find yourself into, whether you're getting animals or cars or anything in your path, or you know, you end up in a dust storm and the road gets slippery and you can't see a whole lot and everything stings. Because if you're on this side of the continent and you get hit by little dust devils, that just tornadoes that spawn on the side of the road and run into the street, if those hit you, it stings. Anyway, practice, 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 and don't make excuses for not having time, because you can always practice while you're riding. Tip number 3, watch your ego, and that could be anywhere from thinking that you're the best and you can't this and you can't wreck, it doesn't happen to you. It could go anywhere from that to just staying focused on the road. Don't have that I got this complex, like subtly, to where you stop paying attention to the road. And tip number 3, only control what you can control. You're on a motorcycle. That's all you can control. You can't control the other drivers on the road. You can't control the riders. You can't control animals or wind or seasons, rain. All you can do is prepare for what may happen. So instead of trying to control it by picking a fight with somebody or trying to correct somebody else's mistake, just move on. It doesn't have to be that big a deal. Let it go. If someone's on their phone, just get away from it. Just find another route. Do something else. Put a car in between you guys. I don't know. There's all kinds of things that you could do. Just only control what you can control. And that's, see it just like here? Lights green. Gave him a little courtesy wave. I didn't honk at him. Didn't freak him out. Didn't rev my engine at him. Hey, you gotta go, buddy. No, just... If he's looking in his mirror, I make eye contact, I just point at the light, and he's like, okay, cool, we got this. You know, no big deal. Move on. You don't have to get all butthurt that you don't get to go within the next 3 seconds. Anyway, so that wraps up my 4 tips. I hope you got some value out of it. If you did get any kind of value out of this, if you like what I'm talking about, just give that video a thumbs up. Honestly, I see every single one of those that comes through, every like, every view, and I get super ecstatic every time I see those. And if you want to support me at all, no cost to you at all, takes 2 seconds, hit that subscribe button. I post videos every Friday now. Hope you're having a great day. Hope it gets better if it's not a great day. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Next Friday, actually.